All right, I think we're good. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, so I have not done a whole lot on this. I'll be honest. But yeah, so Garrett will be in hopefully later when, yeah, when he's done with his church stuff. But yeah, so I guess we can just go through. Did you get all of the questions done?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
and I submitted everything. I took notes.
Okay.
So if you want me to put it on the screen when we go through it, that's fine.
If you want to, yeah, that might be helpful. Yeah. This will probably just be a lot of me staring at the screen then. But yeah.
I don't know if I'm even on the screen yet. Can you see for my paper?
I can. Yeah, you're up.
Okay. So I'm going to move this really quick. So just letting you know so it doesn't get blurry. But it's not my exam already. And so I'm about 100% confident in these answers.
Well, so number one, during recessions, all of the above. Yeah, that makes sense. Firms are laid off, factories are idle, firms may find they're unable to sell all they produce. Yeah. When we say that economic fluctuations are irregular and unpredictable, we mean
that recessions don't recur at regular.
That makes sense. If it's irregular, then it's not at regular intervals.
I had them explain this to me just so that I could understand why those other ones weren't. Okay. So number 3 is, in order to understand how the economy works in the short run, they would need to study a model
where the real and the nominal variables interact.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Question 4. I had her explain a lot of like little side things for me. So that's what all of this other stuff is. This is her just very generic because I didn't want it like cluttered. I just wanted to know where do the what do they mean.
Right.
So anyway, so the variables on the vertical axis here are called, they're affiliated to nominal. I mean, they're always affiliated to nominal, and nominal basically is always going to talk about prices, like a specific price of something.
Right.
And so anyway, the vertical line here has to do with price, and the real output is going to have to do with the horizontal line.
Okay.
Because real output or GDP, it's going to talk about like he said, like clusters or baskets, or like a big overall snapshot, the aggregate of it.
Right.
Yeah, basically price level means nominal, and real is going to mean like larger amounts of, and I also put it down here, I guess. So anyway, when looking at the graph, of aggregate demand, which would be the horizontal bottom line, which of the following is true? The vertical axis is nominal, meaning it's got a dollar sign or a yen or a ruble or something like that.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. And so when the dollar depreciates, U.S. Exports rise.
What she explained to me down here is because the question's asking about net exports, and remember that the formula for that is exports minus imports. So the net export, because you're not having to subtract an import from it, that means that your exports will be higher. So your net exports are going to rise, and because you're able to sell overseas, that's going to increase your overall goods and services demanded by overseas market.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, exactly these same questions on the tests. I'm good, but they don't. Like, okay, I understand how to answer this one. Okay, you've got 7 and 8, I see. So
yes.
moving on to 9. Lost confidence in foreign economies, and so they wanted to buy more U.S. bonds. The dollar would appreciate or have more value, and that would cause the aggregate demand to shift left. And do you know why that shifts left? That's why she made this little chart thing for me.
Yeah, so that would be the nominal value shifting left, right? The price level,
yeah.
or
because more people are buying in the country, and because there's more people wanting to buy U.S. bonds, that means that the sellers of those bonds are going to want to raise the prices so they can make more. So it slides up higher, and because they're higher, more people will buy less of them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I needed her to give me that graph because I just visually could not understand what it was asking.
Right.
Okay.
The following effects provide incentives for consumers to spend less when the price level rises.
Oh, and I wrote down the wealth effect, the definition for it somewhere.
Yeah.
Hold on, definition.
I don't really understand the question. Like, I feel like a price level rising is incentive enough for consumers to spend less.
Yeah. Hold on. So the wealth effect is...
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So when the average price level rises, purchasing power of wealth and savings begin to fall. Yeah. That makes sense. So since the end of World War II, the U.S. has almost always had rising prices and an upward trend in real GDP. And to explain this.
Okay, so what they were talking about here is basically your aggregate demand. Okay, if I'm understanding it, the aggregate demand is like your short term, but then your long term aggregate supply. So there would need to be both an increase in demand, like people now would still want it, but then also in the long run, the suppliers would still need to always be able to provide, so that that increases the demand later on in the future.
Right.
Otherwise, it'd go into a recession or a depression.
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay.
Wages tend to be sticky. Social norms.
So basically, like a social norm would be in an African village or in India. The social norm would be that if you pay me $100 a year, I will do all of this work for you. And in an American social norm, you get like 4 or 5 days worth of work for that $100.
Right.
And so wages, and so, you know, all over the United States, there's a lot of variety of normal wages and cost of living.
Right.
And so wages tend to be kind of sticky because different people write different things in their contracts. It depends on what is socially acceptable at that place, and, you know, working conditions and stuff. Who considers what to be fair?
Okay, so by sticky, does it mean like kind of tricky and like like difficult?
That's what I thought. Let me see if I can look that up really quick. Prices on my rusty definition here. There's only one.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I was thinking sticky meant, was that it like didn't really change, that it like kind of stayed the same and stuck.
Oh, well, I totally guessed that one right and didn't know why.
like I don't know, like I feel like contracts make sense. Social norms, like I guess that would be like it's kind of normal for like fast food places to give lower wages.
Mm-hmm.
And a notion of that, I don't know. I mean, it like kind of makes sense, but like I don't think I fully understand the reasoning for it. But yeah, I don't know.
So let's think through this. Okay, so prices, sticky prices. So prices would not really change fast because the quantity is supplied and demanded, and let's see, rapidly to maintain equality. It goes back to the invisible hand again. So it would be whatever is normal contract, normal socially acceptable in a certain area. Like I could buy an ice cream at a little town and it's only going to be like $1, but that's because the supply and the demand there, or the people who produce the ice cream and the people who are willing to buy it, they'll only buy it at a certain amount because they're just not going to pay more.
Right.
And so that invisible hand is going to kind of maintain or make sure that there's a cap on it. It doesn't move or fluctuate too much. Unless some outside source comes in and then kind of mixes things up in the town. That's kind of how I understand it.
So here's in the book, there's a section on the sticky wage theory.
Okay.
It says, according to this theory, the short-run aggregate supply curve slopes upward because nominal wages are slow to adjust to changing economic conditions. In other words, wages are sticky in the short run. To some extent, the slow adjustment of nominal wages is attributable to long-term contracts between workers and firms that fix nominal wages, sometimes for as long as 3 years. So it makes sense with like contracts, but I don't really see how I don't see anything on like social norms or a notion of fairness. Let's see. It's prolonged adjustment may be attributable to slowly changing social norms and notions of fairness and influence wage settings. Yeah, like it just kind of says that they influence it, but they don't really give much more description than that. Oh well. Anyway, so I think we're on question 13.
Okay.
So which of the following shifts short run but not long run aggregate supply right?
Okay.
That'd be the BB.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Long run aggregate supply curve would shift left in the amount of labor available. Is that Garrett?
It is. I just sat down.
You made it.
I made it. How late am I?
Oh, not too bad.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just pulling up the assignment. I just barely walked in the door at home.
Nice.
Well, and Brian said that you were on your way. You were fulfilling a church assignment, and you would be joining us.
Yeah. Yep. We had young men's tonight, so we're all done now.
And my husband came in. I kissed him, and then he walked out the door as he changed his shirt because he's got to go there too.
Yeah. Yup.
It's kind of nice, because he's bishop, and so my being in school, I'm not available at night, but neither is he. So we're kind of like going through this together.
That's good. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, we figured out he'll probably be released right about the time I graduate. So.
Oh, nice. That works.
That's all. Awesome.
We try to coordinate these things.
For sure. That's awesome. Let's see. Yep, I'm pulling up the quiz right now. So I actually haven't had a chance to even look at the homework yet. I've kind of been running around like crazy today, but
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So I'll jump in on question 14, and then we'll finish from 14 to the end. And then Brian, if you need to, you still have to stay on because you're hosting the video.
Yeah, but I don't mind going back through them and kind of like walking through the whole process again.
Okay,
Sure.
We're gonna go up to the beginning. Here we are, number 1.
Or no, we can start on 14. That's okay.
Either way. Okay.
We'll just let's start with 14. I feel bad making you guys start over, so that's okay. No worries.
Okay. Well, so yeah, 14 would be D, right?
That's what I have.
Okay.
And it goes back to that little graph thing that my tutor made.
Yeah.
So 15 is the stock market boom of 2015 is in long run equilibrium. Okay, imagine that in 2015 the economy is in a long-run equilibrium. Then stock prices rise more than expected and stay high for some time. So the question is, what happens to the expected price level, and what impact does this have on wage bargaining? So you're going to be able to expect, because it's a boom, that means there's more money circulating. So,
right. So the price level would rise.
And then people are going to want higher wages.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's
that makes sense.
Charlie.
Cool. So then policymakers who control monetary and fiscal policy and want to offset the effects on output of an economic contraction caused by shift in aggregate supply.
So here's what I did to kind of figure out this question. They want to offset the effects of output on contraction by a shift
in the supply.
Yep.
Could use policy to shift if they want to control or offset the effects.
So they're gonna use the policies, because they control the monetary and fiscal policy. So they're going to use the policy to shift the demand that people, what people are wanting. They're going to shift it to the right.
Okay, why to the right?
Because let's see. They're trying to offset the effects on output. So in other words, they put too much out there, or there's too much either product, or they've circulated too much, and so they need to shift things to the right to make the demand prices, the prices, what is that, nominal, to have the nominal prices drop lower and the demand more, so that the invisible hand effect will kind of come back in and bring it back to equilibrium.
Okay.
And basically, because of it tells us here that they're trying to do economic, which is money contraction. So they're trying to contract the amount of money. So I was just thinking, as far as, okay, I'm going to scroll my screen. I was thinking back on this chart here, if they're trying to do this bottom line, if they're trying to get less demand, then they would need to shift it.
Right.
So that the price level goes down. So they'd need to shift to the right, going the direction that makes the price level smaller. And that way it consumes up the abundance of output, because people demand more. So once they've consumed it, it's gone. And that comes back to, where are we? What question are we on?
16.
Okay. And that way it helps it helps with the contraction, or making it smaller.
Okay.
I don't know. I picked this one apart with those words. When they get too long, I get lost what they're asking.
Yeah.
But I already took the test and I got 100. So
Nice.
It is aggregate demand to the right.
All right. Sweet.
Oh, okay. Man, start right here. I didn't have to scroll through everything.
So a shift of the short-run aggregate supply curve from SRAS1 to SRAS2 caused by not before, could be caused by decrease in Wouldn't that be B? Because if the price level falls, then it's going to shift it to the right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Then 18, the appearance of the long run aggregate supply curve.
And it's using the same chart.
Right. It's consistent with the concept of monetary neutrality. The idea that point A represents the long equilibrium and short run equilibrium.
So what they explained to me was, okay, you start out at like price 1 here, and the point of equilibrium on your long run aggregate supply is point A. And then it starts to do really well. And so it drops down to B, but then the invisible hand will pull it back to C. And so because they're talking about, where is this at? We're on question, what? We're on 18.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're looking at what it's doing in the long run, because this is short run and this is short run 2, and this vertical line is the long run aggregate supply. So you see that it kind of goes out short run, but then it pulls back into alignment with long run. And so it's talking about the money neutrality principle there.
Okay.
But then I saw that it also is because it indicates that Y1 down here is the natural rate of output, because that's where it came back to again. And so since it was both A and C, then it had to be also B.
Right.
So it's D.
Okay, cool.
All of the above.
Sweet. So then 19, stagflation exists when prices, that's C, right? When the price goes up and the unemployment also goes up?
Yes. And everything that I found, I always kept finding it talking about that that it was that output falls. This was the answer definition that I kept finding, that prices rise, output falls. So
Okay.
in the answers here, and the only reason I may ask the flip side of this question for us on our test. Since output falls is not one of our options, unemployment rising means that there's less people in the workforce, and therefore less people, their output falls.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
That's it.
Cool. And then the last one, suppose the economy is in long run equilibrium, Senator A succeeds in getting taxes raised. At the same time, Senator B succeeds in getting major restrictions on logging removed. Okay.
So in the short run, you have, let's see, major restrictions on logging. So this is an industry, and so that means that that's going to rise. That's going to start increasing.
Right.
So immediately, taxes being raised means that there's less money for people to spend, because they're paying more to the government and not into the economy. And so price levels will have to fall in order for people to be enticed to continue buying things. But in the long run, because the logging industry's restrictions have been removed, that's going to increase more jobs and more in disposable income. And so in the long run, it's going to either rise or fall or stay the same. I don't know why they put that in there. It's such an ambiguous, non-committal. But anyway, this is the first.
Okay.
Price level will fall.
Right. All right. Cool.
So, Garrett, you want to start off on number 1?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. See the screen or not? I mean, if you can see my homework.
Let me see here, because I've got Hangouts going on my phone, and then I'm looking at my laptop for the assignment. But yeah, I can see it.
Oh, okay. I do that. Sometimes I have 3 devices up.
Makes it more fun for sure. So for the first one, I think it's D.
Yeah, all of the above.
Awesome. Number 2, I think it's C. I'm kind of just going really quick here, so I'm probably wrong on.
Nope, that's right.
Okay, and then I haven't really read number 3 yet. I was kind of going with you guys for a minute, so.
Okay, so number 3 is just, in order to understand how the economy works in the short run, we need to be able to study models and be able to watch how real and nominal variables interact.
Okay, perfect. That would be B for Bravo.
Okay. Number 4.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's A. Variables. Okay, I don't know if you can see this on your phone. I made my tutor draw me just a generic picture of these graphs because I just could not follow these questions unless I have something to look at. But what she told me is the vertical line is going to deal with price, whether it's US dollar or yen or rubles or francs or pounds. And so she just told me price is vertical and it also is the nominal variable.
Okay.
So anything that has to do with money, where you're going to put a money sign in front of it, that's going to be the nominal variable. And that would be the vertical variable.
Okay.
And then the GDP stuff is going to be the output or the horizontal line. So anything called, so the answer is A, price level and output.
Perfect. Yep, that one looks good.
It goes on to question 5 when you're looking at the graph. Basically, nominal means price, and that's any kind of a sign, a dollar sign for an individual cost of something. And then the horizontal line will be talking about real, and it meaning quantity or the volume of a whole bunch of that thing.
Okay. So I'm guessing 5 is C for Charlie.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
And then 6 is A, because when the dollar depreciates or it loses its value, then foreign countries are going to want to buy a lot, and so Americans are going to want to sell all of the product that they can't sell in the United States. So their exports are going to rise, and because their exports or sales to foreign markets are rising, that will increase the amount of goods and demands or goods and services that are demanded.
Okay, that makes sense for sure.
And number 7, the wealth.
Yeah.
Oh, we looked that up and I totally forgot to write it down.
Let me see. Yeah, no, I think 7 is C, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I feel like that makes sense because it's not the short or the long run for sure. It's just kind of everything. Yeah. So yeah, I think C makes the most sense. Let me see. So for 8, I'm kind of between A and B. I'm not sure about this one.
A, let's see. Which of the following shifts aggregate demand to the right? So, so when you have a tax credit and a decrease in income tax rate.
Okay, actually, they're pretty much the same thing in a way. I mean, they're not, but that makes sense. People are going to buy more if the tax goes down or if they get like a credit. So that makes sense.
Yeah, because more money is available to them.
Awesome. Let me see here.
Number 9.
Yeah. So for number 9, if speculators lost confidence in foreign economies and so wanted to buy more U.S. bonds, buy more, the dollar appreciate, right?
Yes.
And let's see, which would cause. I'm going to say A for number 9.
I chose B, but I chose A originally, and then my tutor said no. And that's why I made her draw me a graph. It was question 9 that I was like, okay, you have to draw me a graph.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the graph, that little slanty line that is the, where is it? The aggregate demand and the aggregate supply. Where are we at? The dollar is going to appreciate or have more value. And because it has more value, then the demand is going to shift to the left, meaning that there will be less people demanding it because the prices are increasing for the cost of U.S. bonds.
Okay.
Because the more value there is to the dollar, then people would buy more, but the bonds sellers are going to want to charge more because now there's a market buying them. So they're going to increase the cost of the bonds, and that will shift the demand to the left because less people will want to buy the higher price.
That makes sense. Okay. I think I'm following. I get that. Yep,
I wish I could
confidence.
essay.
Yeah. Nope, that makes sense, I think. If they're losing confidence, they're not going to buy as much. So, for sure. Number 10. Which of the following provides incentives for consumers to spend less? I would say A. Probably both. The interest rate for sure, but yeah, I would say A.
And the wealth effect, I just found this. The definition is the average price level rises, then the purchasing power of wealth and savings begins to fall. So as prices are increasing, then you can't buy as much, and so you're not as wealthy.
Mm-hmm. That totally makes sense. Yeah, no, I think I got that. That's cool. I didn't know that. So for 11, I'm kind of thinking it's either C or D. I'm not sure.
C. It'd be C.
C? Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Because almost always the rising prices and an upward trend, that means that it's continually growing. So both the aggregate demand and the long run aggregate supply would need to be continuously shifting more and more.
Perfect. Okay. And let's see. So for number 12, I have A.
Yep.
Awesome. And then 13, I have B.
Yep. That's what.
Awesome.
Right.
I think I'm all caught up.
Yay.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, and thank you, Brian, for recording.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, Brian.
Anytime.
You guys are awesome.
So you're gonna put this up. I know I ask that every week. Man, I sound like okay.
Yeah, I've already added it to the discussion board thing, so we should be good there.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks so much. See you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Next
You
week
too.
is our last week, isn't it?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo-hoo. Okay.
Jeez.
You'll get to have young men's at normal hours and no stress going
I
forward.
know, right? Might be nice.
All right.
For a
talk to you.
month.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good
See you
night.
guys.
Bye.